Welcome
Hello.
to the Catch Some SoulShine podcast, and I'm your host, Dawn Renee Bova. Tonight, I am joined with my very special guest and friend, Cami Baker Miller. Cami and I met through actually an online class that we were both involved in, and she has been such a beautiful light in my life that I knew I wanted to have her on the podcast. And we are going to talk about some really deep things, share some personal stories, all about being open to receive. I am so excited. Cami has a new book coming out, and I remember last summer she was writing and writing and writing and writing, and then I read some of her poetry and her writings, and they're just so inspirational. So I'm super excited about that. And at the end of the podcast, I'm going to tell you about my little experiment too. Cami, you want to tell them a little bit about yourself and your book? And
Hey, I'm Cami Baker Miller. I am an artist and a writer, an NLP practitioner, coach, just, I guess, a jack of all trades, kind of Jane of all trades. My new book, this is what I've been working on. This is my passion project right now, is a book of poetic thoughts. I don't really call it poetry. It's poetic thoughts that I wrote during the lockdown in 2020. It's called The Salty She, Musings on Embracing the Sacred Wild Within. And it's all about kind of going inside and finding out who you truly are and learning to love yourself more.
I love that. And so when you talk about being open to receive, one of the things that people often misconstrue is, why is that so important? Like, yeah, I'm open to receive, but when you're really, really focused on opening yourself up, it's so much deeper because you think about the day-to-day things and all the little ankle biters or things that are blocking you off from the sunlight of the spirit. And
Mm-hmm.
it takes practice
It
to
does.
remove those. It takes a lot of practice. I
Well,
remember reading about your story in the Creative Life book about the importance of rest.
mm-hmm.
And, when you're a person that's go, 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 go all the time, and you don't take the time to rest, you're not going to be open to receive.
Mm-mm.
So I'd like you to share a little bit about that because that was so inspirational for me.
Well, I've always been that kind of go, go, go person. My mom always said I could never stop. I'm like my dad, I never stop. And I mean, to this day, my dad's about to turn 79. He's constantly in motion. So I come by it honestly. And in late 2018, the week before Christmas, I received a cancer diagnosis in 2018. It basically, so the whole next year, 2019 was consumed with treatments, and I went through chemo, radiation, I had 4 surgeries, and I ultimately had to learn how to rest. I couldn't do anything, but there were days that I couldn't sleep, but I couldn't move. I was in bed. My mind wouldn't stop for the longest time, and I finally started learning how to calm my mind and get into my body. And since then, it's been kind of a little passion project of mine to find new practices to be able to get in your body, to calm it down, to calm your nervous system. That's I love nervous system regulation practices. I think they're very, very helpful, especially when we're talking about receiving. Listening to my body when it says rest, because I believe fully now that when you do stop and you do listen to your body and you rest, when you come back, you are so much more productive than you could have been if you just pushed through.
Absolutely. And I think about that with my whole journey with creativity because,
Mm.
mine wasn't a cancer diagnosis, but again, that's kind of a grieving process, right? And I had my own grieving process. And my response to that was go, 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 go. Don't
Mhm.
slow down, keep moving. I think it was just because it was so painful to sit still.
Yeah.
And then when I discovered the power of creativity and just being still in the moment and creating and not being attached to what it looks like or what comes out of it, that did come later, but just creating what what a peaceful experience. What a gift that
Yeah.
was. Why does it take us something so traumatic to
I
wake up?
don't
Why is that?
I don't
I
know.
don't know.
I didn't find art again until I was going through treatment.
Yeah.
Toward the end of my chemo,
Mhm.
maybe not even the end, because I remember it being cold outside still. I started painting again. But yeah, it took 2 near-death experiences for me to finally get back to that. And
Right.
we don't. I mean, I'm stubborn. So it took 2 before I could, slow down enough to listen to what, to the whispers.
Yeah. And I think we've pretty much illustrated why it is so important to be open to receive. Next comes identifying the blocks.
Mm,
What's blocking me off from the sunlight? I love that visual, the sunlight of the spirit. Like I
mhm.
I picture all these little elements out in my force field that are blocking me off from the sunlight of spirit. So we got to identify those. What is it? What's blocking me off? And sometimes it takes an outside person to point that out to you. Sometimes it's something that you have to look deep within to say, I got to let that go. It's not serving me.
It's one of those, you went through, the timeline, the time techniques with me where we went back on the timeline and cleared the negative
Mhm.
emotions, and I still, to this day, believe that is the most powerful practice, the most powerful modality I learned through my NLP training to clear, especially the shame and the guilt. And I think so many of those, that anger and sadness and grief, I mean, they all stand in our way. The fear, but that
Mhm.
shame and that guilt
Yeah.
gets so many of us.
That was a big one for me. That was my hang up when we went through the timeline. It was the
Mhm.
guilt. And I think about it and I think, as a mom, when you lose a kid, you
Yeah.
do review that and you think,
Mm.
what could I have done different? Or maybe I wasn't a good enough mom, or all those crazy thoughts come in your mind. But I think releasing that and saying, I did the very best that I could. And I know that I gave love and I did receive love.
Yeah.
And that's really what's important, giving and receiving. It was just such a powerful practice for me. So today I think about some of the things that block me off from the sunlight of the spirit. Perfectionism. Okay, I
Mm.
can't put that out there. It doesn't look good. I don't like that. I'm not putting it out there. How many times have
Mhm.
we put something out there? I'll put a painting on and I'm like, it's okay. And somebody contacts me and says, I like that. I want that. I'm like, really?
Right? It's usually the ones that we think are the worst, or that we aren't
Yeah.
even really trying. Or I know a lot of mine were the ones that weren't even finished that I posted work in progress and people wanted to buy.
Yeah.
But, it's funny you brought that up because
Yeah.
I'm sitting here thinking and I'm talking in past tense about my painting. I haven't painted in forever. And so there's probably a block there for me that I need to look
Well,
at.
yeah. Is there a block or is it that your creativity is just shooting off in a different direction? I mean, you are such a prolific, beautiful, deep feeling writer. When I read your stuff, I was like, holy crap, this is so good. It's so good.
It's so good to
So,
hear you say that because I've been going through revision after revision after revision to get it ready to print, and
mhm.
I have wanted to hit delete so many times.
How ironic that we're talking about perfectionism that blocks you off from receiving. When I first decided to put this podcast out, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm not ready. I don't have the music stuff in here. I don't know what I'm doing. And then I just looked within and I said, you know what? It's going to be good enough. I just want to be my true, authentic self and put that out there for people to maybe connect with and get a little
Mhm.
healing. I'm glad I did
I
because,
li I'm very proud of you, and I love that, the one of my favorite quotes comes to mind, and manifestation loves imperfect action. And you did it. I mean, you put it out there and it has been causing ripples left and right.
Yeah.
I just love
Yeah.
it. The ripples
Yeah.
are just expanding out and out.
So we did talk about some techniques, but there's so many. I think if we share some of these practices with people, it's something that you can do all by yourself. You
Mhm,
know, I mean, I was grateful to have you as a practitioner to help me through that. There's so many things that I do now
mhm,
that unblock me from the sunlight of the spirit. When I started listening to Abraham Hicks, all the energy and how very important meditation was, I was practicing some meditation, but not religiously,
mhm.
consciously making a conscious effort to make that a part of my daily practice. Life changing.
Yeah.
There's just something about it. And people say, "Oh, I can't meditate." Well, there's so many different ways you can meditate. I was just talking about this with somebody. When I had my knee surgery, of course, I didn't want any opioids. No, I'm not going to have opioids. Absolutely not. And that's just a personal thing, just
Yeah.
because of, what I went through. And I thought I can do it with ibuprofen. Well, those first couple of days, I was like, why didn't I take that pain medicine? My knee's killing me. But I looked up meditations on pain and I did them and they actually helped. Then I couldn't sleep. I still sometimes struggle with sleep. So I started Googling meditations to help you sleep. So powerful. Meditations with, dealing with difficult people. And I listen to those.
I've got a really good one for that.
You do?
One of my favorite people on Instagram these days is Yogi Brian. He's coming out with a book.
Oh, yes, I follow
Every
him
freaking
too.
meditation has the F-bomb in it, so you know I love him.
Yes, yes. Yeah, he's pretty good. But then some of the techniques that you taught, like the tapping technique.
Yeah, the tapping. I haven't it's funny that you say that because I started using that again just this week.
Hmm,
Just this week, I brought it back out. They go in cycles for me, but some of the ones that I stick with on a daily basis are what I call my morning wisdom sessions.
mhm.
First thing when I wake up, I'll turn on my back in the bed and kind of imagine the earth coming up, rising up to meet me. And I just ask myself, how do you feel today? And I feel where it is in my body that I'm feeling, whatever it is I'm feeling. And then I get up and it is a non negotiable. I can't tell you the last time I didn't write when I got up in the morning. I drink a pot of coffee, and I write. That has been a practice of mine for at least 7 years. But yes, the tapping, just diaphragmatic breathing, just simple, just your own natural breath, but taking notice of it and trying to imagine your diaphragm expanding while you're doing it. That's a big one. And lately, I have been combining my writing practice with an app called Marco Polo where you can record yourself. I mean, it's like kind of like a video walkie-talkie app. I know you know what it is because we use it.
Yeah.
But I created a group where it's just me in there, and I'll talk to myself, and then later on, I mean, sometimes immediately, but later on, I'll go back and watch it again. And it's almost like I'm holding space for myself, witnessing myself. Who better to listen to you than your own self? You know, you're going to, and if you aren't going to listen, if you're sick of hearing it, you're going to do something about it. I've actually been working on I hate to call it a course, I'd like to really call it a container for transformation that combines those two modalities, the writing, the stream of consciousness writing, and that, along with a few other practices.
I don't know if people really understand what stream of consciousness writing is, and I'd like you to explain that a little bit because I find that stream of consciousness writing is so powerful.
I might do it a little differently than other people. Because I had a mastectomy, a double mastectomy, and had lymph nodes removed, I have lymphedema in my left hand, which is my writing hand. And it really makes me grumpy to try to write when I'm shaking. So I started typing. I use an app called Day One. It's a journal app. It's a great app on my MacBook. And a lot of times I'll close my eyes and just type, which is great. I mean, one of the great things about typing instead of writing is you can close your eyes and you don't consciously think about what you're writing. You don't think about it ahead of time. You just start doing it. It's amazing some of the things that come out. But what I have found lately is when my mind's going faster than I can even type, that's when I grab Marco Polo and I start talking. And it's kind of a joint effort. I'll get up and I call it walkie talkies because I'll get out and walk and just talk. And then I'll come back in and I'll write some more. And usually by the end of it, I feel so much better. But that's all stream of consciousness is. It's just, you're not really thinking about what you're writing. You're just letting whatever comes to the surface just bubble out.
It fits so well with what we're talking about, being open to receive, because look, if you've got all that stuff clogging you up, you've got to get it out.
Yeah.
I love the Marco Polo idea because, I'm not a fast typer or a fast writer. Now, I do take notes and I do write things down. I have a journal beside my bed. That walkie-talkie is such a good, it's like that mirror. You're looking at yourself.
Yes. It's even better than talk to text because talk to text, I'm Southern. It doesn't always,
Yeah.
I'll think that I'm in the middle of the night. I used to grab my notes app and hit the talk to text, and I'd wake
Yeah.
up the next morning and go, what is this say?
I just had that happen with a dream. Oh, I
Oh,
should tell
no.
you about this dream. Really crazy. Okay. Maybe you'll know what it means, but for some reason was in Germany with my granddaughter Brinley.
Okay.
And I was in this dorm or something. I don't know what it was about. And the next thing I know, I realized that people are trying to get us. So, boom, like that, I'm at the airport, but I can't find my passport. And then I didn't have a car. My car wouldn't start. So then these people got me and brought me back to Brinley. And we had something packed on the end of the bed, like some important things
Mm-hmm.
that I wanted to take. And they're like, no, just leave it. Leave it there. Come on, we're going. And the next thing I know, Brinley and I were at the airport and we were leaving. I did the talk text with that dream.
Mm-hmm.
I had to go back and try and piece some of the words together because I'm like,
It's
what in
not,
the world is this about?
it does not work well for us Southerners. And you're
I'm not
Southern
even
enough.
Southern.
It jumbles all of mine up. So Marco Polo's been revolutionary for me. I don't know
Mhm.
what made me. I mean, it was just one night I went through this period, very definite like line of demarcation, before and after. And I decided the whole month of September ended up being a healing month for me. I put aside all of my work and just worked on me. One night I just hit this wall. I hit this wall and I didn't think I was going to get around it or through it or anything. And I was bawling my eyes out and something just had me pick up my phone and start recording myself. Probably went on for 10 minutes. And then I went back and I watched it and witnessing myself in that much pain. First of all, I felt empathy for myself, which is a weird feeling. The first time you feel that, it's a little weird. Um, but it soon became quite addictive for me to just pick up my phone and start. I'll do it in the car now. I'll turn off the music and just start recording. It's like the
Mhm.
wheels moving make me, I don't know. It's a very, very powerful practice.
I like that. I might have to start using it, but I probably will wait until I get into your class for a little guidance, but that's okay.
Well, I'm working on that this week alongside the book. I finally finished the edits on the book, or I finished the editing, the formatting of my perfectionist much.
Mhm. 70-30, baby. You just got to get it out there, do it messy. We've covered quite a bit today. We've
Yes.
talked about, why it's important to receive, and I'm not just talking about receiving love. I mean, receiving whatever we want. You want that new job? You got to be open for it. And receiving is like a give and take, right? You
Yeah.
can't just take, 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 take. There's some giving that's involved in that too.
I also
So,
heard something the other day about expecting it. Start
mhm,
having this feeling of expectation.
yeah. There's a saying, expect expect the miracle,
Expect miracles. Yeah.
and the miracle will happen.
Well, I think this ties in quite nicely. So I was in
Alright.
Sedona. This time last year, I was in Sedona, and
Uh-huh.
I was going for my NLP, my master practitioner graduation. I had 2 roommates. We had rented a house. They walked in one morning. I think I was already up because I get up early. And I heard one of them say, "I received that and thank you." And they were laughing. And I was like, "What are y'all talking about?" Or they didn't say thank you. They said, "I received that compliment." They said we were talking about receiving and how a lot of us don't receive compliments very well, and how we're going to start saying I receive that. And I said, oh well, I've just always been taught to say thank you and not, make any big, not say, oh well, this old thing or whatever, how they always talk about it. And after that, it was like a joke all weekend. I received that. We kept saying it. And we kept saying it, and I don't know why it sunk in. We don't. We as a society, we are programmed to say, "Oh yeah, my hair doesn't look that great, but
Yeah.
and instead to just say thank you. But even going a
Uh-huh.
step further than that, they taught me to actually receive what was being said, the actual compliment. And from that point forward, I'd never thought about the concept of receiving, but it's funny, I'll go back through my journal and realize that when I channel messages, I was being told to receive for a couple of years before it actually sunk in that I needed to
Mhm.
receive. So a good place to start is actually receiving the compliments that
Mhm.
you get. Taking note of that and going from there is a great place to just start.
It's like when, you're going through a traumatic event in your life, or or, things are really tough, and people will say, "If you need anything, I'm here." And
Mm,
"Oh, it's okay. I'm alright. I
mhm,
got this." No. If you need something, say, "It would be really nice if you could make me a dinner."
mhm.
It would be really nice if we went out to lunch, because people want to give, but we
And
have to be open to receive.
taking that one step further,
Mhm.
especially ever since COVID, I feel like we are so much more disconnected. Just saying, I need some company.
Yeah.
I would love an hour of your time just to sit and talk. Um, and receiving that. But we
Mhm.
have to ask for it. We have to be willing to ask and say, I need this. This is not a want. I need some time with you.
So, I just wanna end it on being open to receive is a concept that can really change your life,
Mhm,
but it
mhm.
takes practice.
It's a practice, like
Lots of practice, It's not just something that you're gonna say, "Okay, tomorrow I'm gonna wake up and I'm gonna be open to receive." No, I'm open right now. I'm receiving this energetic conversation that we're having, and it's pretty good, by the way. And I'm receiving all the love that people have given me about this podcast, and I'm receiving my intuitive thoughts that are coming. It's pretty great when you can practice that and stay in flow.
Mhm.
When you are, great things happen.
It's true, and you've gotta be able to bring those things in so that you can send it back out.
You can't pour from an empty cup.
You can't.
No. All right. Well, this was such a great
It
conversation,
was, it
and
was. It always
we will
is.
yeah, we're going to add your links in the bio.
Okay,
And
that's good.
once you get your book, you can follow Cami on social media. I know she's on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook.
And I have a
So,
blog. It's How to Live TF Out Loud, spelled out, but it's on
okay.
Substack, and
Okay.
I'll give you the link for it.
Yeah, give me the link to that. For everybody listening, thank you so much.
Thank you
And
for having me. I always love talking to you.
yes, yes, and please share this podcast with your friends, somebody
No,
that
no,
might
no.
need to hear it. Give it a rating because that boosts it in the algorithm, and let me know what you think. And if there's any subjects you'd like us to delve further into, I would be glad to do so. Thanks so much, and I will see you next week. Thanks for joining us today on the Catch Some SoulShine podcast, where we did a deep dive on the importance of receiving. We talked about what it is to be open to receive, things that can block us off from receiving, and some techniques that you can use at home to open yourself up because those gifts are out there and they're ready for you. I hinted a little bit about something really big that I'm working on, and it's all about creating ripples. We have the power to create ripples that will be experienced well beyond our life here on earth. And I am creating a special project, an experiment per se. If you think that you have the power to change the world, and I know you do not want to miss this opportunity. So get on my email list. There's a free offer, soulshinesparkle.com, where you can download an affirmation journal, and you will be on the list to learn about this new ripple experiment that I am going to be creating. All right, I'll see you next time. Again, thanks for tuning in, and make this day a bright day.